the end of the year, so I thought it would be a good time to do a year in review, a little wrap up. I did this last year. I think I'll probably do this every year moving forward. Where I want to start is I want to start talking about money. Right? That's the key issue in running a business, and so we might as well start there. I made more money this year, but it feels like less than I've ever made. It's literally more than I've ever made, but it's less. It doesn't go as far, right? It just doesn't go as far. The Canadian dollar is really weak right now. It's at 142 Canadian dollars per $1 US, or 71 cents for every Canadian dollar, right? So things here in Southern Ontario, in Canada, but in Southern Ontario, just a lot more expensive. The cost of living is a lot higher than in the US. I see a lot of people in the US doing really well, and things go a lot further in the US. If you look at, for example, a Canon R5 camera, in the US, that is like a $4,400 purchase. And in Canada, that same camera is going to cost you almost $6,700. So it's a lot more expensive if you're making purchases for your business, or just if you're trying to get by. Everything's more expensive, interest rates, mortgages. So discretionary income is a lot lower for people. I want to clarify the difference between disposable income and discretionary income. A disposable income is what you have left after you've paid your taxes, and discretionary income is what you have left to spend after you've paid your living expenses, such as your mortgage, your grocery bill, your utilities, your internet, your telephone, all of those things. What you have left is the discretionary. That's your fun money. Photography always comes out of the discretionary income that people have, and when people's discretionary income is a lot lower, then they don't have the money to spend on photography services. Photography is almost always a luxury purchase, even if it's a commodity purchase when you're doing something such as, simple corporate headshots. So that leads into me working on minimizing my expenses. And for me, that includes the things like not making as many purchases that I would make, not investing as heavily, unfortunately, in my business that I would like to in terms of marketing dollars, advertising spend. I've reduced my software expenses by renewing around Black Friday, reducing my internet plan so that I actually have reduced speeds. I made sure that I had the minimum 30 megabit per second upload connection, but I went from a 1 gigabit per second download to a 200 gigabit per second download, because it's just me here. I don't really need a gigabit. My phone plan, I was able to basically just cut the data in half and save almost 50% on my bill as well. So just those three things alone, moving into the next year, are going to save me about $1,000 a year. And that's pretty significant in terms of savings. I've also sold off some of my old photography gear. I sold off my old lights. I sold off my Canon 60D. It was the first camera that I used and started my business with, but I no longer need it, and I'm not really a sentimental person, so I don't hang on to things like that for sentimental value. So it didn't make sense for me to, just keep it sitting in a drawer here doing nothing. So I sold it, and I sold some lighting gear, and the photographers that have those things now, I've been in contact with, and they are really happy with their purchases, and it's improving their life rather than just sitting in a closet or a drawer. To give you an idea of how the economy is affecting a number of other photographers here, there are 2 photographers in the facility where my studio is who've shut their studios down, and my friend Alex is in the process of selling his studio, not his business. He owns the commercial space, the commercial retail space that he is in, and he is in the process of selling that space. It makes financial sense for him to sell the real estate investment that he has. The revenue he was generating was just servicing the debt on that space. So he's not going to have that debt anymore, and all of his income will go into, contributing to his family income instead of just paying for a commercial space, which has increased significantly in value. And I think him and I are going to do a video on that in the future. As far as purchases and acquisitions go, no new cameras, no new lenses, no drones, no action cameras. I have what I need already, and so I didn't purchase anything. But what I have purchased here, I'll itemize. I bought some casters for my C-stand made by Newer. Those are great. I love being able to just roll my stands around the studio. I either lost or had my tripod stolen last year. Somebody gave me a set of Manfrotto legs, old Manfrotto legs, probably older than me, but they're classic and they work, so that's great. But I had to buy a new tripod head, so I picked up a newer 44mm tripod ball head, and that is perfect on there. I picked up a second Amaran 150C LED cob light, so now I have two of those and I can do some more color work that I'm interested in doing. I also picked up an EcoFlow River 2 Max portable power station, which I picked up mostly so that I could run my LED lights on location. So if I'm doing a shoot and the power goes out, I have a backup. Also, it's really good at just conditioning the electricity that's flowing through. So if you have a battery, like a power station like that, and you plug it into the wall, and then you plug your lights into the power station instead of directly into the wall, it's going to condition the current that's coming out of that power station, and so you get a cleaner current. And I also picked up a newer 33-inch parabolic softbox, which is right here, and it is staying here. That's not my photography business, that's my YouTube business, but the modifier that I had up here was a portable collapsible modifier that I use frequently, and I was just tired of taking it down and putting it back up, taking it down, putting it up every time I needed it. So now that modifier is in the studio. So I bought this to replace that, but I also think this light looks better here. So the intention of the lighting is being better served in both places, I think. The best purchase of the year is a new duvet. It's not photography related, but that duvet has dramatically improved my quality of sleep, and I think that has improved my life just in general. So if you're going to invest in yourself, invest in things to like make you sleep better. Invest in good pillows, invest in good duvet. That's my rant about good quality sleep. What I've also started doing this year is investing the taxes that I've collected and my income taxes. Instead of just taking that money and socking it away in a savings or checking account where it's going to sit and do nothing, I have a Wealth Simple account that I've opened, and I have a non-registered account, and I have a TFSA account, which in Canada is a tax-free savings account, and we can make contributions to that account up to a certain limit every year. Then that income is non-taxable. With every invoice that I get, I take the sales tax that I collect here in Ontario. That's an HST, which is a harmonized sales tax, and that collects the provincial sales tax and the federal goods and services tax, a federal GST, and that's 13%. So I take all of that I've collected from every shoot, and that goes directly into my Wealth Simple account. So I don't touch it, I don't spend it. It goes into my investments, either into the non-registered account or the TFSA. I don't have a managed account. I just handle everything myself. It's not a ton of money, but the idea is that money is, instead of just sitting in and being dead money in a savings or checking account that's earning like a fraction of a percent, it's actually making and earning me more money on top of what I've put in there. So it allows the money that I collect in taxes to earn more money while it's waiting to go to its new home in the government to pay for, trivial things like roads and universal health care. I like both of those things, so I'm happy to pay the taxes, but because I only need to pay annually, I allow that money to sit and accumulate and grow while it's waiting to get handed out to the government, and that's going really well so far. To be clear, this is not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I do with my money. What I actually do with that in Wealth Simple is that I have some whole stocks and some fractional investments in stocks and ETFs, such as Vanguard's S&P 500 fund, Nvidia, Tesla, Novo Nordisk, and some other stocks, and try to balance things out. One thing that I do is I use an app called Autopilot, and Autopilot is really great. I'm gonna open it up here. So in Autopilot, there are these different portfolios that you can see. There are politicians, there's a GPT portfolio, and you can see how much they're growing. And you can also select a different portfolio. You can look at the active ones, and you can just pick one, see what it's doing, see what the people are doing. Take a look at, like, let's see what Nancy Pelosi's investing in. 28% of her investments are in Nvidia. Politicians have an inside track on, what's going to happen with government contracts. And so that's a good way to, I think, figure out what to invest in. I released a video earlier this year about looking for an agent, looking for a photography agent to represent me here in the Toronto area. There hasn't been much progress on that. I have spoken with an agent who I really like. While I'm not signed or repped by her officially, she has submitted me for a couple of projects, one for an online casino and one for a very large social media website who you have all heard of. I didn't get either job, but what this has done for me is it has shown me what my portfolio is missing and what people are looking for. So not only do I know like how to fill the gaps, or like where the gaps are and how to fill them, but I know specifically how the agent has been marketing me so that I can continue building in that direction, my portfolio in that direction. It's very much in alignment with like me, my personality, my identity as a person. I know what I need to do. Have I been doing it? My portfolio development has been lacking this year. I find it's hard to work on moving in a new direction when you're busy servicing existing work just to pay your bills. That's something that people just don't talk about. They talk about, here's what you need to do, here's what you need to do, go do it, go do it, go do it. But if you can't do it because you have other work that needs to be done, it's hard to find the scraps of time. And to be maybe a bit lame about it, at my age, I lose the energy. And I'm worried that at my age, I'm losing my edge and I'm losing my voice and the thing that people are interested in. So that's a conundrum, and that's like a big sort of existential crisis that I'm dealing with, internal mental conflict. Like, how is who I am, is that going to be relevant? Or how can I make it relevant, I think, is a better question. And how do I continue creating work that people are going to be interested in? Or how do I create more work that people are going to be interested in if maybe the work that I've been creating hasn't been good enough? But I recently saw a video from Tin House Studio here on YouTube. I'm going to link to that video in the description below, from Scott Chicigno. And Scott has some great advice. It's one of the channels that I really enjoy watching. And he talks about treating your photography career like a musician, and treating your portfolio, like your body of work, like an evolving collection of albums, spending time every year basically to release a new album, and then that is the album that you use and shop around for client work. And so I'm going to be taking that advice to heart, and I'm going to be working on planning and building my next album. In fact, like, I know how to do this too, right? Like, I've talked about this in another video, which I'll also link below, about creating a dogma and identifying and creating a set of criteria and then executing on those criteria so you build a consistent body of work. But I just want to wrap up by saying, I'm very thankful for channels like Scott's, because I personally haven't had a lot of guidance in the commercial world here in Toronto. My previous life was teaching improv comedy. Before that, it was journalism. And so trying to, spending 10 years trying to break into this industry is hard, man. It's hard, especially hard when, you know, most of the last 5 years have been spent like either in lockdown or trying to recover from the repercussions of that in a way that has, you know, not been good for my physical health or my mental health. And so these are things that we as photographers have to deal with on a regular basis. And I just wanted to share my year with you and let you know how things were going, how things evolved this year, and give you a sense of like where I'm at mentally with my career, and how the industry is here where I live, how the market is where I live, and what I have in store next, or at least what I'm going to try to do next. Let me know in the comments how your year has been and what your next year is going to be like. I try to read every single comment that I get, and if you stuck through this whole year-end rant, then you might as well subscribe to the channel, because this is me. This is me in probably my rawest form that you're gonna see me. So yeah, stick around. I'd love to have you here. Take care.